Have you heard about how people are making a killing by investing in short-term rentals, but maybe you're still not sold on the idea?
Well, in this video, we're gonna give you 5 reasons why you should be investing in short-term rentals today.
And be sure to stick around until the end because the 5th reason could literally make you rich. Hey everyone, if this is your first time here, I'm Tony.
I'm Sarah.
And we're real estate investors who quit our day jobs by investing in short-term rentals, and we're here to show you how you can do the exact same thing. In today's video, we're gonna go back to the basics and talk about the people who are thinking about investing in short-term rentals, but aren't 100% sold on the idea yet. So maybe you invest in other types of real estate, or maybe you only invest in the stock market and you haven't even gotten into real estate yet, or maybe you have zero investing experience altogether.
Either way, this video is going to hopefully light a fire under you to get started. But before we dive into the 5 reasons why you should invest in short-term rentals, let's quickly run down why you should not invest in short-term rentals.
Now, the biggest reason you should not invest in short-term rentals is if you don't want to be in the hospitality industry. Now, when you buy a short-term rental, you're essentially buying yourself your own personal small hotel. Like literally, yeah. Right? You're gonna have to be communicating with your guests, solving their problems and keeping them happy. And then on the back end, you have to manage your cleaners and your handyman. Like it's literally like you have your own Hyatt, you know, that you're running yourself.
So like Tony said, it's literally like running a little business. And until you hire a third-party property manager or you hire someone in-house to do it for you, you will have to be the person taking care of all of those things.
You have to ask yourself if you're willing to do that, right? Are you willing to be the front desk for your own personal hotel? Now, luckily for you, we've got so much content on this channel to help you learn how to do it. So you just have to be honest with yourself if this is what you want to do.
We got your back if you do.
Now, if it is what you want to do, then keep watching. If it's not what you want to do, then sorry, maybe go watch one of our other videos, right? But let's start with the good stuff first about why you should be investing in short-term rentals.
The first reason you should be investing in short-term rentals is because of the increased cash flow. In comparison to other real estate investments, and even if you look outside of real estate to the stock market, short-term rentals can provide you with the massive amounts of cash flow and pretty crazy returns on your investments too.
Now, when you look at cash flow, short-term rentals way outperform long-term rentals. With the long-term rental, most investors are typically happy if they can get, like $200 per unit in cash flow? For us,
a month, right?
Yeah, $200 per month in cash flow per unit. With our short-term rentals, we typically want to see at least 10 times that amount per month, right? We'll put a link in the description to some of our other videos where we actually break down our short-term rental income, but seriously, you should be able to get about $2,000 per month in profit, at least for each of your short-term rentals.
And this is actually why I got hooked, right? Was the cash flow. So we were investing in long-term rentals, didn't care. Tony was cashing in maybe like it's 200.
Yeah, a couple $100 a month.
I was not interested. Once we transitioned, he showed me the numbers. I was all in.
Yeah, so if you're looking to get your spouse on board, just show him the numbers.
Yes.
Now, not only do you get the amazing cash flow with short-term rentals, but you also get a pretty amazing cash-on-cash return as well. Now, we've used this example, we talked about it in other videos, but just as a reminder, the very first short-term rental that we purchased, we invested a little over 60 grand into that deal, and we made just over $80,000 on our first year with that one property, right? Like we did the math and it literally came out to a 138% return on our initial investment.
So crazy.
Crazy, right? Like the average stock market return over the last, I think like 30 years has been like a little over 10%, and we did 138%. Now, obviously not all of our investments are going to give us 138% return, that'd be crazy, but it's common to look for returns between 30 to 40% on average for short-term rentals.
Hey, that's pretty good.
And as a side note, if you want to see how we were able to take those amazing short-term rental returns and turn them into an early retirement for ourselves, take a look at the video in the description.
All right, so the next reason you should be investing in short-term rentals is because of the location. Now, as a short-term rental investor, you get the ability to buy and invest in markets that sometimes just don't make sense if you're trying to buy a long-term rental. Now, for example, let's say you go out and you buy beachfront property in Florida or California or wherever. You'd almost definitely lose money as a long-term rental. Price points today compared to the long-term rents typically just don't make sense. But you could make an absolute killing by renting that same property out as a short-term rental.
All of our properties are in vacation destinations. We have properties in the cities that surround the Joshua Tree National Park and the Smoky Mountains National Park. And we have properties under contracts in cities that surround beautiful lakes, and we're actively always hunting, Tony is, for something beachfront right now too.
Yeah, I mean, we have friends who own property in Destin, Florida, in Maui, in Sedona, Arizona, and like literally pretty much all of the big vacation destinations in the US. So how cool would it be if every time you went to go check up on your property, you got to go to some beautiful place that you love visiting?
So cool. Can't wait till we get one.
Yeah, till we get one. We already have one.
A beachfront one?
Oh.
Yeah, we don't got one yet, girl. Can we get a Maui one?
Yeah.
So if you have dreams of owning a really cool house in an amazing location, imagine being able to make your dream a reality and get paid to make it happen. That's the power of short-term rentals. And again, reason number 2 why your girl got hooked.
Yeah. I mean, you're essentially getting paid to own world-class properties in amazing places. Like, honestly, our Airbnbs are like nicer than our primary residences.
Heck yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, our house is cute, but no, those are cute.
Those are
Yeah.
like amazing, right? And like, what other type of investment allows you to do that, right? Stocks can't do that. I don't think crypto can do that, right? I mean, we don't know a lot about crypto.
Crypto, yeah.
So maybe you can do that with crypto. I don't know. I don't think so, right?
Okay.
But the point is, you know, you get the point, right? You get to do some really cool things with short-term rentals.
Is crypto the one where you can like make your own like imaginary house?
Imagination.
Your own really cool imaginary house and sell it? What is
It's
that?
like the metaverse?
Oh yeah, the metaverse? Is that
Yeah.
the same as crypto?
No.
Clearly don't follow us if you want to learn crypto or metaverse.
Yeah. And if you're getting messages from on Instagram from me about investing in crypto, it's a spam. It's like, it's a
Please
scam.
report them.
Yeah, it's not me. Now, but before we move on to the last 3 reasons, we'd really appreciate if you could give this video a thumbs up,
Yes.
subscribe to our channel, and hit that little bell for notifications. We've got a goal to get to 50,000 subs this year. As of this recording, we're just over 18,000, but every new subscriber
Got a long way to go.
yeah, but every new subscriber does mean a lot to us, and we appreciate all 18,000 of you.
Also, be sure to connect with us on Instagram. I'm at Sarah Rad. He's at Tony J. Robinson. And connect with us on TikTok. We are at The Real Estate Robinsons.
And we've also got a totally free download for all of our subscribers. So if you head over to alphageekcapital.com/calculator, you can get a totally free tool that we put together to help you analyze properties. And honestly, it's the same tool we use and we analyze a deal. And we've gotten so much feedback how amazing it is and that we should be charging for it, but we're giving it away for free to you.
Last, if you are not yet an Airbnb host, I'm sure you will after this video, sign up using our link in the description. You'll get a cash bonus for signing up, and we'll get a small cash bonus as well for referring you.
All right, so let's keep going with the reasons why you should be investing in short-term rentals. So the third reason is investing in short-term rentals have relatively low risk in comparison to the amazing returns that you get. Basically, a basic business principle is that the higher the risk, the higher the return, and the lower the risk, the lower the return. So why do you think something like a US Treasury bond has such a low return? It's because there's essentially no risk because they're backed by the government, and the government has the ability to tax its citizens, right? So if they're ever, not able to pay back that bond, they just raise taxes to be able to pay that, right? There's no risk there. So there's pretty much no reward either. Like a typical bond is just gonna give you enough to keep up with inflation, maybe. Now, on the flip side, think about someone like a venture capitalist. They invest in extremely risky startups, most of which fail, but they're able to do that because when one of their investments succeeds, it's a huge payday. Like like one of the early investors in Facebook, he put up $500,000 in exchange for 10% ownership of the company. And obviously we all know how big Facebook is today and how much they're worth. So you do the math on how much money that person made, but also put him $500,000 for some kids who, quit college, there's a lot of risk there, right?
Yeah.
But a huge amount of risk means huge payday. So let's talk about kind of short-term rentals and why I think the risk is actually something that works in short-term rentals' favor, right? They're actually really not that risky in comparison to the returns you get. Now, we already shared how we made 138% cash-on-cash return on our first short-term rental investment. There aren't many investments out there that will give you that kind of return without taking on some kind of crazy amount of risk. So you're almost breaking that business principle I talked about because you're getting this really big return without this really high level of risk, right? The risk stays low. So let's walk through some of the ways short-term rentals decrease the risk associated with the investment.
First is that you never have to worry about an eviction. With long-term rentals, you have tenants who are legally bound to pay you rent for the length of the lease. So once that lease is signed, you can pretty much count on that income for the next 12 to 18 months. But what you also get with long-term tenants is the fact that some of those tenants will move in, but won't pay, and you have to evict them.
Now with short-term rentals, there are no leases that get signed and they literally have to pay you the full amount of the booking before they even show up to your property.
Yeah.
So you never have to worry about a tenant who stays but doesn't pay.
That's the best part.
Nice.
And we've had issues where we had a guest who didn't want to leave and we were able to call the sheriffs who helped kick them out. So that was probably the worst, like eviction,
Yeah, and before you guys go all crazy in the comments, we've literally hosted thousands of nights across all of our listings, and that was literally the only guest that didn't want to leave, and they were actual, like literal drug addict kind of crackhead type people.
Stop it. Get some help.
And even with that, we were able to fix that whole thing within like an hour. So.
Yeah. Second is that short-term rentals give you multiple exit strategies. If you change your mind or want to move on, you can sell the property right out and make a profit.
Or you can adjust to what's called a midterm rental, where you allow guests to stay at your property for, between 1 month and 3 months, sometimes longer. A lot of people do this for traveling nurses or business professionals, or, people just coming in who want to stay for kind of a longer stay.
And depending on your market, you can always try to convert it to a traditional long-term rental.
Now, the third reason, and this is a big one, is that the increased cash flow gives you way more cushion when things go wrong. And let me kind of break down what I mean here. Now, with a long-term tenant or a long-term rental, say that you're making $200 a month in cash flow. And let's say that your water heater goes out and it's gonna cost you $2,000 to replace it. At $200 per month in cash flow, that water heater just ate up 10 months of your cash flow, almost an entire year.
That's crazy.
And that happens all the time, right? Now, say that same $2,000 charge hits your short-term rental. That's maybe 1 month of cash flow. And for one of our tiny houses last month, that would have been 1/4 of our cash flow.
What?
Right. Now, I can't remember where I heard this, but it was some successful entrepreneur, and he said, if you have enough money to solve your problem, then you don't really have a problem. You don't stress, you just write the check and you keep moving. And the cash flow that short-term rentals generate allows you to just pay for most of the problems, go on without your day without worrying about, man, how much of my cash flow am I losing? This property isn't profitable anymore, right? Like, there's so much money coming in, you can cover most of your issues. Now, before we move on from risk, we want to point out that there are a couple of obvious risks that come along with short-term rentals. So let's touch those first, right? First is that there is a policy risk. If you buy in the wrong market, you could end up in a situation where you have policies that don't allow for short-term rentals.
Yeah.
Now, we mitigate that by buying in more true vacation destinations, cities and markets that are economically dependent on short-term rentals to survive, right? Like if you turned off short-term rentals in our markets, it would negatively impact that city. Now, the other risk is that if there is a big economic downturn or a recession, short-term rentals will obviously get hit harder than long-term rentals, right? People are gonna stop traveling for leisure before they stop paying their rent.
All right, the fourth reason you should be investing in short-term rentals is because of the ability to use debt to purchase your properties. Most people who buy a short-term rental are able to get bank financing to cover anywhere between 75% and as much as 90% of the purchase price.
Now, outside of real estate, where else can you buy a cash flowing asset where the vast majority of the purchase price is coming from a bank and at a relatively low interest rate. You can't get a loan from a bank to go out and buy stocks. You can't get a loan from a bank to go out and buy crypto.
Or metaverse.
Or the metaverse. You can't get a loan from a bank to go out and buy a limited edition Pokemon card that you want to flip to some random person on the internet, right?
New card. What do you think?
It's even honestly difficult to get loans to start and buy businesses, right? But there's a proven clear path in real estate and short-term rentals specifically that investors can use to get funding for big purchases and get amazing returns in exchange.
The last and final reason why you should be investing in short-term rentals is because it's still early in the game. Even though the popularity of investing in short-term rentals has really increased over the past couple of years, the vast majority of investors still don't have a short-term rental in their portfolio. So that means you still have a chance to get in at the early stages of this process.
Yeah, boy.
And what's even crazier is that there's just not a whole lot of institutional investing happening in the short-term rental space yet. And when I say institutional investing, I mean like these big hedge funds that already own, tens of thousands of long-term rentals, both as single family or as apartment complexes. They're not super active in the short-term rental space yet. But when those hedge funds finally do break into the short-term rental space, that's when you'll start to see the returns we're getting right now. They start to get squeezed a little bit and prices start to increase because the hedge funds, they're not looking for 30% or 40% cash on cash returns like you and I are. They're happy to get like 10%, right? That's all they need to keep their investors happy. Honestly, if you really want to get rich, right? And this is kind of our plan. You build a big portfolio.
Inside secret.
Yeah, so this is the secret sauce, right? Like we've got a goal of getting our portfolio to like a valuation of $1 billion. And if we can do that over the next decade, when these big hedge funds come in, they want to buy up all these profitable short-term rentals, who do you think they're going to go to? The real estate Robinsons that own $1 billion worth of short-term rentals. So that's kind of our plan, right? We can sell that off and then have a really nice, pretty payday, and then we can go do whatever we want to do at that point. So that's how you get filthy rich.
We'll make a video in 10 years and let you know how that goes.
So we're sharing this plan with you right now and telling you this so you can do the same thing. So we hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you're on the fence or you are on the fence about investing in short-term rentals, hopefully you're off the fence now and you're in the camp and you're ready to get started.
Come on over to this side.
It's fun on this side. We appreciate you guys for watching. If you guys have any questions, drop a comment below. We'll be sure to get back to you guys. But if nothing else, I think I'm Tony.
I'm Sarah.
And we are the Real Estate Robinsons.
Yeah.